Diana Boston made a video today in which she covered two things that I want to address. The first is an important thing which I want to agree with her on, is what she referred to the mental masturbation of when the debate between Skeptical Heretic and Fringe Elements was over last Sunday. What happened was Skeptical Heretic began opping all his friends in the room and having them kick all the people who disagreed with them, and only after dissent was erased from the room did he then stop and say, okay, well, how do we all think that the debate went? Pretty stupid. I mean, I was there, and even at the time, I immediately had this Old Testament sense of Elijah beating the priests of Baal and opping all of his friends in the crowd to put them all to death. I mean, this is... I agree with you, this was pretty despicable. However, what the small thing I want to disagree with you on, well, it's not small. The fact that he's done this despicable thing reflects poorly on his character as a person. However, it doesn't really change the fact that he did win the debate. I'm just going to put that out there for you. And the second thing, the main thing, the major point I want to disagree with you on is, and perhaps not so much disagreement, just following up on your implication that the Skeptical Heretic sources might be able to be called into question, that his source work may be faulty. So you say that the first two were opinion pieces, and you're very dismissive of these pieces of evidence, and I'll talk to that. I'll speak to those at the end of this little list. But the rest of his sources, save one more, which is also not so much opinion piece, but I'll talk to that also at the end. The rest of his sources all come from peer-reviewed journals, including Intelligence, Assessment, Applied Neurophysiology, Neuropsychology, Neurology, Psychological Reports, American Psychologist, a book from the University of California Press, Genetics Society of America, Molecular Biology and Evolution, Nature Genetics, a supplement of Nature, Human Biology, and American Anthropologist. Now, the one which you hadn't gotten to yet is not a peer-reviewed journal, research paper. It is the American Anthropological Association's statement on race, which rejects the hereditarian position and was formulated by a board appointed by the heads of the association, and then once a rough draft was created, all members of the association had input into making this statement, and it's very firmly against the hereditarian position. Now, the two opinion pieces which you seemed very dismissive of, the second one was written by one Joseph L. Graves, who is an expert in evolutionary genetics, particularly for humans, and the second, the first cited was from a group of faculty at Stanford, all of whom were experts in the field of neurology, social sciences, human genetics, and a couple of other fields which have the study of race come up in research from time to time. And what they were doing in that article in particular was, it was a list of 10 suggestions on how these disparate disciplines, when dealing with the issue of race, can come together, and they suggested a common terminology, a common method when approaching the issue. And both of these articles are experts in the field who've kind of gathered a bunch of the different research papers and a lot of the different evidence into a common and concise summary of what the evidence, what the preponderance of evidence suggests. And considering that it's against the hereditarian position, and here are the real experts talking about the general feel of the evidence that's out there, I think we shouldn't be too dismissive of it. And the other problem with being dismissive of it is that if we don't accept these two pieces of evidence from Skeptical Heretic's side, if the bar is above this, you've dismissed easily more than half of the evidence provided by Fringe Elements in the debate. I mean, a large number of the evidence he provided was, at best, he provided a great deal of peer-reviewed research, most of which was from the two men, Rushton and Jensen, and a great deal of it was also pieces like this, sometimes on their own personal blogs, or there was stories from science enthusiast magazines or reputable news sources, which were news about research, but not the research paper itself from a peer-reviewed journal. And then, at worst, a lot of his sources were a lot of just some dude's blog post or some dude's website, including a blog post written by no less than himself. Now think seriously, if Skeptical Heretic had written a blog himself and provided that blog as part of his evidence, would you have accepted that? So, Fringe, and I'm talking to Fringe now, to follow Diana Boston's advice that you should look into maybe playing the who had the better sources game, I would advise against that, because you would lose that fight. But this, it seems to me, is somewhat small potatoes now, because I just watched your latest video, and, you know, I've disagreed with you on this issue, but watching your last video, you know, I was kind of feeling for you. I was kind of sympathizing. I do kind of feel like you weren't given a lot of the time to completely explain your point. I mean, you didn't come to the debate prepared, and you weren't able. You seemed only capable of throwing the evidence out there, but then when certain things here and there were questions, when Skeptical Heretic poked holes in it, you weren't really ready to defend the evidence you threw out, and you wanted to finish making a whole point, but Skeptical Heretic kind of took more of the, like, the atheist experience thing, where no, I have a problem with your point right here, let's deal with this, and then you can go on later. But, I mean, it would have been better if we had a time thing with a moderator, but I think the form of debate y'all had was perfectly legitimate, and you just didn't show yourself very well in it, and that sucks for you. And what really lost all my sympathy was what you said at the end of your video, and you know what I'm talking about. The comment about Coughlan's ex-girlfriend leaving him for someone with AIDS, that was in very poor taste. And in your comment section, you've already tried to defend yourself by saying, oh, well, Coughlan's video that he just made about me crossed the line. That line gets crossed every day here on YouTube. It's part of being on YouTube. You, in my opinion, crossed that line by magnitudes, like orders of magnitudes greater beyond that line with your comment. I mean, that's all I have to say. I mean, you're already going to be catching enough shit for this. Peace out, man. Good luck.